Welcome to another episode of the Journeymen Co. With myself, Michael Van Furen, and as always, our very own Jeff Williams. Hello,
Hello,
boy.
folks. Welcome.
Good to see you. So, thanks to everyone who's been listening and sending us feedback. Make sure to follow us on our social media channels, like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and let us know if you have any feedback for us. We're constantly looking for ways to improve. So, thanks everyone for your feedback and your support. Please like and subscribe on our socials and all those good things. Jeff, tonight we've got probably the most articulate man in world rugby, if that's a word. I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
But,
he
very
definitely is. I love him. Max Lahiff.
Very interesting cat.
So interesting. One of my favorite people and humans that I've met along my way. Just so interesting. Interesting little things, gym workouts, diets, the way he plays the game, the characters that he sort of dives into. Unbelievable. I can't wait to ask him tons of questions. I'm sure a lot of people want to know what he's doing. The Hulk, the big man. So let's get into it. I'm buzzing for this one. Mikey, it's good to see you, my man, my fellow journeyman. We got Marcus on this week. So Marcus
as well.
Little
Special guest.
Hey?
Special guest.
Special guest.
So Max Lahiff, welcome, my brother. Welcome to the Journeyman Co podcast. It's great to have you on. The most articulate man in world rugby, at the forefront of training and dietary methods. We're really looking forward to chatting to you, and we've also got Marcus Watson, our new special guest referee. He'll be mediating this conversation. No, but Maxi, thanks so much for giving up your time, Marcus, as well. And we're looking forward to chatting to you, Boyki. So welcome.
Honored to be here, gents. Honored to be here amongst three such esteemed and established people such as yourself. Can't wait. Let's get into it.
This chat could go anywhere. Yeah, so just to kick it off, Max, what's new in the weird and wonderful world of Max Lahiff?
Not much, lads. Not much has changed. I'm sort of delving down a few rabbit holes, but currently living in South Bristol. It's quite good fun. Still at Bristol Bears. This is my 5th season. Plying my trade on both sides of the scrum. I'm being tic-tacked and towed left, right, and rhubarb, but it's all good crack, lads. Can't complain. Still getting strange and esoteric with the lads. You'd love Harry Thacker.
Tell me about him. I mean, I see the hair.
Like he's just
speed.
As an athlete, he's a brilliant athlete.
Tell me about him.
Very much appreciate his sort of his personality. He's like very alternative, quite a return to nature kind of human. Like you now, Jeffy. Yeah, hell of a boy. But there's a strong group here, though. It's a very as it needs to be be honest. Great group of gents around here.
How's Gabe fitting in, brother?
Oh, mate, first few weeks he was hating it. It was funny.
Yeah.
It was very funny. No, he was just struggling with like the amount of meetings and detail and sort of how thorough everything was. I think he's used to this. He's very much more a sort of a wayward spirit, isn't he? He likes to sort of have more of a instinctive feel for the game and himself. So being in such a sort of micro percentile sort of narrative for coaching as I think he feels a bit hamstrung by it all, but he's playing very well now. And also he was coming back from his plantar fasciitis and turf toe or something. Yeah. So he's just been getting back, but now he looks very good. Last few games he's been superb.
Yeah, he tore his plantar plate, didn't he? But
yeah,
just what a boy to have around the club. He's a legend, isn't he? He's just
mate, he's so funny. Yeah. Top man. Yeah.
Well, I must just say, Marcus, I was really impressed again with your time management, Max. You were almost on the dot when we agreed to it, because I used to pick this guy up in Bath. I would take him to training every morning, and I would have to phone him and text him about 4 times to let him know that I was on the way to pick him up, and he would still be late, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm really impressed with you, Max. You've come a long way.
No, I'm
And
not really.
He's a
Not
professional
really.
now.
Speaking
No.
of coming a long way, right? We've spoken about this in the past. I don't want to keep going over about the London Irish Academy stuff, but at that time we had me, Max, JJ, and Kieran Lowe, who were all terrible. Pete Austin, terrible for time punctuality. But then we had Marlon Yard, who was a whole different level. So I think it made us think we were actually okay, which we certainly wasn't. But yeah, I think it started from early, our punctuality situation.
Yeah, conscientiousness has never been a strong trait of mine. It's been a sort of a curse of my personality and my psychology for most of my career. So you can't have everything, can you? Because that's the way it is.
Boys, sorry to just a bit of breaking news today. Did you see Lewis Rees-Zammits on his way to the NFL?
I did. I was trying to get Shaggy on the mic to talk about like his experience with the NFL, maybe a little tidbits for Gladiator, but he's absolutely tied up by the BBC, so we couldn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Get Wadey on
actually,
again.
I was actually watching him last night. Apollo, the Gladiator.
Guys, you guys got to send me some stuff over in France.
It's
I'd love to
incredible,
see
man.
Shaggy swinging around underpants. I'd love to see Shaggy swinging around underpants. You know what I mean?
He put in some unreal chop tackles in one of these events, so he's really good.
So at your wedding, Marcus, obviously I was reunited with Shaggy. I was staying at the same hotel as he and Mickey Young.
Yeah.
And he was talking to me about that episode in particular. And apparently the producers were like, Shaggy, you're gonna have to chill out, mate. Because he was just sort of flinging people around, just maiming these poor mere mortals. And he had to like completely handicap it. They were like, no, you got to let a few of those guys through, especially if they're little like meek humans. I was cracking up.
But I'm surprised he actually listened to them because the bloke is full beans. He's an absolute legend. But like, I don't think
competitive.
Mate, there's no one I know, I don't think, that suits something like that so much because some of the stuff he says into the camera, bro, I'm sitting there thinking, if it's me saying that, there's no way I could say it seriously without putting on a weird voice or like some awkward, weird smile or something. But he absolutely loves it, man. It's what he's about.
Next minute he'll be in WWE, won't he? Yeah, he loves the soap opera of it all.
But Lahiff, you should get what about Wadey? You should get Wadey on.
I tried to. I'm going to try and get him on as well. Yeah.
But when we're talking about punctuality, you might end up speaking to him next year, and by that point, Lewis Rees-Zammit's already playing.
So tell me about this, Mikey. Tell me more about this NFL. Where's he going to play? What position will he play? A kicker?
No. No, I reckon.
No, honestly, mate, come on. I'm not trying to. Where's he going to play? A wide receiver?
I guess, or running back.
Come on. Is it possible? Is it possible? The detail, the body movements, all these. You think it's possible? Like I watched the episode with the Kelsey brothers talking about it, and they challenged the fact that rugby players couldn't transition into playing NFL. They could transition into playing rugby pretty easily. So they thought it was easier to play rugby than it was for rugby players to play in the NFL. So when I heard that, I was a little bit like, there's certain positions where rugby players would do well, but wide receiver, the routes, the movement, come on. Even Ant was down that road for a bit. Do you remember? Ant was talking to the guys, and there was like talk about him going into the NFL, but it was just too technical. Years and years of training. What do you guys think?
It's the playbook. Yeah, there's the playbook and the technical sort of techniques at the front of the line, like running between the tackles, blocking, knowing routes. If he plays receiver, that's probably it, and he just runs a go route every time. That's it. But surely there's like so many guys in the NFL who have that sort of elite speed that we consider to be so alien in rugby that Rees-Zammit sort of possesses. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. It's gonna depend how you can match up against those freak athletes and how quickly he can adapt to whatever position he's going to play. But it's a massive loss for Wales, bro.
You're
Like
right.
he's still a youngster.
22,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But he's
sneaky
I mean,
young, isn't he? He's done
he's
so
like
much
David
already.
Beckham. He's rugby's David Beckham. He was a shining light for our code. You know, rugby's looking for stars, and then our most handsome chap goes and plays NFL. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like, this guy's got something about him. There's a twinkle in his eye. You know what I mean? He could be a movie star. He's handsome,
Mate,
handsome as Bob.
but
You know, he's just got that look, and you think, yeah, I'll watch a game because he's playing. Do you know what I mean? Premiership,
Mm.
and then he's off to the NFL to sit behind who? I mean, come on, chaps. The guy's playing in the NFL. The player's there.
and mate, fair
Come on.
play to him as well, though. It's a big call. It's a big
Big
call.
call. Listen, all the best to him, but I'm just thinking, man. I just think like, you know, anything's possible in this world. I shouldn't say that, especially as an athlete, you can do anything. You know, it could turn out to be a great NFL player one day. But when you think about it,
He's not got much to lose though, has he? Because
No.
even if it doesn't work out, he'll come back and still make huge bank. Like he's always good. Like Wadey's already done that. He's come back. He's playing at Racing. Do you know what I mean? And he's what's Wadey now? 32, 33?
Yeah, 32.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you're probably right. But I don't know enough about American football. All I do know though is that Christian Wade is one of the freakiest rugby players I've ever seen or played with in my life. And like, if
Not make
he didn't quite crack it, it's
Yeah.
not going to be the easiest thing to go into at all. I think he's got the attributes, Lewis Rees-Zammit, for sure. It's going to be interesting. It'll be a good comparison for rugby and NFL, because for me, Wadey was a great comparison, and he looked like he did really well in it, but for some reason, he obviously didn't end up staying. But
Might do enough. Yeah. I wonder
Yeah.
what that was, because he did do well when he did get his preseason games. Obviously, Jared Hayne sort of made more progress by making the actual roster.
yeah,
But
well,
in the end, again, he sort of, what was it, ball security on a few kick receipts on punt returns, stuff like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing that messed Wadey up a little bit, I think, was COVID too, actually, because he was supposed to play a fair bit in those preseason games, and those are the only times that they end up obviously seeing the athletes that haven't fully been signed up. And he was there in his last year, was the 1 year he was hoping obviously to break through, and that was the COVID year. They had no preseason games. But yeah, I don't know the proper story about it. I'm actually supposed to be catching up with him this week. Maybe I'll ask him.
That's cool.
But Max, when we used to drive to Farley House, you would often tell me that you fancied yourself as a middle linebacker in the NFL.
Oh, but only in like on an athletic scale. It was more like, can you imagine how difficult it is being a middle linebacker in terms of reading an offense, play by play? And it looked fun, but like also those guys are, when you really look at their sort of physical statistics in terms of their athletic capabilities, you're like, they're so big and so fast. Some of them, it's mental, and the ones that are the ones with mental mental like football IQ. Do you know what I mean?
And just talking about your gym, how is that going? Because as I mentioned, you're always kind of like at the forefront of all new techniques and methods. And I know you're big into your roping and things like that. What are you kind of doing at the moment, or how's your training kind of evolved over the years from, when you were at London Irish Academy with Marcus to now being fully fledged member of the Bristol Bears?
So now it's very much, I'm trying to be as efficient as I can in the gym, and basically movement is king. So I'm not so like edified by heavy compound lifts. Like back in the day, obviously, most of my career was centered around, most of my training was centered around being incredibly forklift truck strong in like the squat, the deadlift, the bench press. But now I'm sort of watching myself back when I was younger, especially at London Irish. I recognized that my movement was so much better, like in terms of my acceleration and just how I like moved around the field comparatively to when I was in my mid to late 20s. At Bath, I looked like I had rigor mortis of a dead tortoise. Like, it was terrible. I looked like a droid. Obviously, there's elements of being a front row forward, and there's attritional sort of compressive forces on your spinal column, and that's pretty much what inhibits your sort of movement. But after that, I was like, I feel as if doing all this heavy weightlifting is only catalyzing that sort of inhibition of movement. So then I sort of went down a few rabbit holes and found a few alternative sort of S&C practices that were more in line with that new narrative I was seeking. So then I've gone towards sort of lifts and practices that theoretically respect the biomechanical sort of gait of the human body more. But this is all very anecdotal. It's very difficult to be like, this is the way, because there's so many ways that people sort of advocate for. Yeah. And it's very difficult to prove them effectively other than your own anecdotes and what feels good for you. And athlete to athlete, some guys would require more strength training than others, and others require more movement or more fitness than others. So for me, at this point in my career, I'm now 34, and I feel very good in terms of my movement. I've stopped getting stingers. Yeah, I've stopped getting back pain. Thanks, Jeffrey. And yeah, just moving a lot better. Still very fast on the gates, Marcus. We're still doing good. Very good.
That's what we like to hear.
So that's sort of where I'm at. So like sort of weird squats. I try and make every sort of lower body movement being sort of centered around the glutes, without going fully into detail. That's sort of where I'm at with what I'm doing. So I've sort of sacked off the lifters and the weightlifting belt and the knee wraps. Sadly, it was a good time, but we had to bury that man in the garden, because I was thinking, if that was athletic supremacy, why isn't like Eddie Hall sprinting 100 meters at like 1,000,000 miles an hour, etc., or jumping over like trees? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense.
100%.
Like athleticism is not built, it's not synonymous with weightlifting. But it took so long for my ego to accept that, because it was something I was so, I don't know, wrapped up in as a person. Pathetic. But we're there now, so it's fine.
But it's something that for you, like you've always been from a young age, you've always been the strong guy. So when you're talking about exactly, so it's something that's probably it's almost been part of your character for a while. So it's something that might have been difficult to or strange to change.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. And it's taken a while. And every now and again, I find myself slowly being seduced again. I'll be like by the dumbbell rack, just flying, just going, Arnold, come on. And I'm like, no, we don't like this guy. He's bad for you. But nothing quite is quite as edifying as a glorious pump.
Just along that one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, with the S&C stuff, obviously you get like your own program. You like the S&C, you do your programs and your rugby teams and things like that.
Yeah.
With your change in mindset and change in how you're training, how's that one?
So yeah, it was a bit at the beginning. It was a little bit bad, because obviously I was saying I'm not doing this, and then Pete, my trainer, would be like, well, no, you've got to do this, and I'd be like, well, no, I'm not doing this. So it was a bit back and forth. So we compromised on a few things, and then I'd like present to him exercises which I believed weren't damaging. Like I'm trying to stop sort of axial loading. I'm trying to stop nerve compression. So, and but at the same time, I'm still trying to achieve the stimulus I'm looking for. So I present to him sort of strange lifts, a little bit more unorthodox than what he's used to. So like all my lifts now, if they are sort of a lower body movement, require the use of the whole ankle foot complex. So I'm not like in sort of lifters. I'm trying to use my whole foot and calf, because I kept getting calf tears up until the point where I'd started lifting like this. So you just have to have that kind of, you just have to have the right sort of dialogue with your S&C coach. I think as a younger player, it'd be very difficult to do that, but because I'm already quite strong and stuff in the gym and already sort of nailed those, my S&C coaches aren't so worried about it. It's more ticking boxes in terms of like my conditioning and work capacity rather than my actual strength.
You almost need that like trust and knowledge a little bit with your S&C coach. Yeah, understood.
Yeah, for sure.
But you've always been really diligent around your training, haven't you? Kind of like figuring out stuff for yourself. I mean, not just with your training, but with your diet and things like that.
Yeah, I think like that's always been something I'm really like. I don't know, but as a young man, I always really enjoyed it. I thought it was, as a teenager, young man, I've always been fascinated by biohacking and trying to sort of optimize myself in any respect. But like in particular, like learning new skills or strength training, supplementation has always been quite interesting to me anyway. And the internet's such a massive reservoir of information now and knowledge that you can with that, but there's a lot of snake oil on there. Let's not get it twisted. That's probably what I learned most, because as a younger man, you're very impressionable. You're like, oh yeah, tribulus terrestris, this will make me ginormous. But really, stuff that works is all illegal. Bottom line, all the stuff that is legal is very minimal. Do you know what I mean? Very very small percentiles. So, but yeah, that's sort of where I stand with something like that.
You're talking about supplementation.
Oh, that was just an example. Supplements in general. What am I doing right now? Desiccated organs.
Sorry?
Desiccated organs, just like liver, that sort of thing. What else have I got? NMD, NAD. A lot of anti-aging stuff. You know, we're creeping into the mid-30s.
That's what I want to go to with you. Your longevity training. Because I don't give a shit about the gym. I don't care much about gym. You know, for me, it was always your longevity training, your saunaing, your, you know, taking microdosing on mushrooms, or trying to take this, or organs even. I mean, you had the best brands. Let's talk about that. Let's go into that. Let's go into those. What would you say? 2 people to listen to on the internet today. If it's YouTube or if it's a doctor, who are you listening to and who are you following for your longevity training?
Right now, Jack Cruz is my favorite to listen to and follow. He's very interesting. He's a man who's Jack Cruz, Dr. Jack Cruz. He's a neurosurgeon who's essentially, he's a little bit, his marketing's a bit kind of rude, but that's okay. I think he's just trying to make a big chuck the cat amongst the pigeons with the contemporary science around biology right now. But essentially, he's looking at quantum biology at like a very atomic level, and how sunlight and all forms of radiation influence the body, and how bad light hygiene, like this one right now, like look at this fucking thing. This to him would be anathema. This screen, etc. So your light hygiene, your habits around your sleep, your habits around electromagnetic radiation, but these things are all seen as a bit woo-woo. And obviously right now we're in a world where we're so sort of dependent on these things. It's very difficult to I don't know, sort of sanitize your life too much without inhibiting what you need. But that guy's super interesting, but it's very heavy biology. I feel really stupid reading it, but it's so fascinating. Very, very interesting. Who else do I quite like? I've really just been flying into him at the moment.
Huberman? Do you like Huberman?
He's okay. I sometimes think he's a bit of a grifter. Yeah, no, it's because like a lot of the stuff he's sort of proposing, he's got so much skin in the game in terms of like products and affiliates in it. So it's almost is he making a lot of money out of this? So it's just like I'm never too sure. But I think his podcasts are great though, some of them. Definitely. Rhonda Patrick, obviously, she's great.
He's great. Saunaing, anti-cancer things. She's really good. She's really good. I follow her.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She is fantastic.
I had Tommy around this weekend, and Tommy, and he's a lot like you. It's like the Tim Ferriss of the rugby world. So I sit for about 3 hours, just talking all things routine and what hole you down now. You're like, what rabbit hole are you down, and how far are you? But you guys were very similar. You rock up like 10 years ago, and Tommy Homer's wearing double knee Carhartt pants, and everyone just giving him shit. Like, what the hell are you wearing workman pants for? They're bright orange, brown. Everyone's mocking him. They're like the #1 pants right now. Like everyone's, it's the craze, right? Everyone's wearing them. And Garvey, he said, Matt Garvey would look at him and rinse him. And I said, didn't it piss you off? And I said, he looks at me, Tom looks at me and said, did you see Garvey's fashion? He used to wear Uggs and sweats. You can see his nut line. And I just laughed. He was, it's like that Irish group had something special, like all you guys. And I love that we have this, the two of you guys on here, some of the originals, but this group that was formed by the brainy Neil Hatley from the Eastern Cape, where I'm from. It's so weird. And then, you know, there's this feeling of you guys always loved South Africans because you knew the sort of the idea, you know, you've got Ant, you've got yourself, you've got Garvey, Max, you love the South African sort of culture because you were introduced to that from a young time. But you guys are really so cool. Your group was really some of the most interesting characters. Kieran Lowe, another very interesting character. I used to love watching his social media. Should love watching it. I found him so interesting, and I don't know where he is right now, but he's a great person with a lot of personality. But I didn't really know him that well. But from afar, he looked like he was down a few rabbit holes, and you always wanted to follow and see how far they were. But you lived with him, hey Maxi?
I did. Yeah, I think he's doing breathwork seminars at the moment. Last I heard, he's living up around York, I think. Very much like he's grown his hair out. Mad.
Long.
Because it's everywhere.
Oh,
Super
wow.
long. He's gone fully hippie. He's fantastic. Yeah, he looks very well. Thankfully, I'm happy to see. Yeah, he's just doing sort of breath work and sort of returning to nature sort of lifestyle. Obviously, he had his struggles with concussions, etc. So
yeah,
I think he's trying to sort of self-medicate and get his head right, and he looks like he's in a good place.
That's good. That's important because, like I said, I always saw you guys were really close, and was an interesting character for me because he's part of the rugby community, you know. So I'm happy to hear that it's gone down the route of breath work, and I'm big into that too. That's a lot of what I do every day. I'm in the ice water and trying to get the breathing going. Wim Hof, using that for I think it's for that. What I do it for is almost like a release of meditational benefits, but the big thing is acclimatizing for the water and doing that. So breath work is huge for me, and I think it's underused even with in rugby. Like imagine you had morning breath work sessions, like teams coming in and doing like a 30-minute breath work, you know.
I think Sarries has that.
Sarries?
I think they do. They have like a mindfulness workshop, and it involves a bit of breath work, like down regulation breath work. But okay. I know what you mean. I do love a bit of allotropic breathing, like the Wim
like
Hof.
Intense. I'm talking about like energy boosting, heart rate boosting.
Like
yes.
Yeah, and you just fucking just tripping balls on that shit.
Some guys are crying, some guys are squealing.
Oh yeah.
You know, I love that shit. That's the longevity stuff. That's the longevity stuff for training, and the I believe where the game's going. And you know, the funny thing is I saw Jake Paul doing it with his team, like 30 people in this lounge doing all this breath work before he's fighting. Okay, look, it's a bit okay.
No, but imagine how weird it is being Jake Paul, right? You've just got this strange entourage of like, I don't know. I always find those sort of that level of celebrity is fucking bizarre to me. But yeah. So he did like a breath holding sort of workshop before his training, does he?
Yeah, it's probably not the greatest person to hold up as someone advocate breath work, but you know, it's funny how it's caught on, and I think it's a big thing. It's a big thing, especially for the amount of, you know, running we do and oxygen we need in the blood and all that jazz. So something interesting. I wanted to see have your take on it.
Have you ever used State, the app?
State,
STATE.
No.
It's quite cool. I'll show you guys now quickly. This is sort of what I like to use for it.
I'm trying to think if I think I might have downloaded this app before.
Yeah, so you like see this?
Yeah, I've used it.
Got like, yeah, so you got like different sort of So you've got like feel alert. That's sort of more what Jeff was talking about. But you've got like, so you can go into it, and then
what's it called? State.
It's, oh no, they've started putting money on it. That's so annoying. It used to be free. I hate those bastards. It's only breath work. But anyway, I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you set the thing up. And you just plant it on wherever you can see it, and the ring sort of goes in and out, and then you just get your timing off. It's quite good fun.
I was watching a podcast with Rick Rubin, and it was so weird. Rick Rubin and Andrew Huberman, and during the middle of the podcast, Rick Rubin just says, "Do you want to do a 5-minute breath session quick?" He takes his phone out and he does a 5-minute breath session and I did it with him. I was like sitting there watching in my cozy little snug here, watching it, because I love his creativity. You know, Rick Rubin, music.
Tetragrammatron, is that the podcast you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah,
and he sits there and he does this 5-minute breath work, and I did it with him. And then when they spoke about what they thought, what do they think about when they go into that breath work? What are they doing? What are they thinking about? And how many times they do it in a week? I think that's really important for people to know, like these little things like that, breath work, cold bathing, saunaing, it's right there for you. Sunlight exposure, connecting with the earth, walking with your feet in the ground, things like that are important. And if I had to ask, I like to do this with everyone, but your morning routine, talk us through it. You're waking up, what time? What does it look like from your first supplement, from your first exposure of sun? Talk us through that in about 3 or 4 minutes. Give me that. I'd love to hear it. I love to hear people's morning routines.
Oh mate, if it's training day, it's completely different. But if I had more free time, but anyway, training day, get up about an hour and a half before. I need to be in half an hour. I'm straight on the red light, especially this time of year. Red light, near infrared lamps. Just smash those up the guts until I'm like fairly heated.
How long are you on there for?
Like 20 minutes, about that. And then do my supplements, which is usually like cordyceps, lion's mane. Am I Tonkat Ali at the moment? NAD. I'm not even sure. I haven't done bloods on Tonkat yet. So sometimes I do bloods to compare, but I haven't done bloods on Tonkat to see if it's effective at this point. But I'm using it at the moment. Then little coffee, usually with some fat. So I'll usually mix it through with like butter and a bit of milk or something.
Yes.
And collagen protein. And then just sort of usually I'm rereading Sapiens. So I do that whilst I'm on the red light. And that's about it really, mate. And then I'm straight into training really. Nothing too big. I went through a phase of doing the ice bath before training, but then I was just like, resistance just got me. I had it going for a while though, and then my inner bitch just got the best of me, and I was just like, I'll stop this for a while. But I do it with the contrast a lot.
After your training sessions, you jump in there after your training.
Yeah.
Sauna.
I never do it sort of. I'll do the sauna for about 50 minutes. Times. Ice for 3 minutes, sauna 15, ice 3, done.
Beautiful.
I'll never do that 72 hours out because out of a game. I've noticed that if I do too much sauna before that close to a game, my cramps at about the 55th minute of a game is unbelievable. They're so chronic. It's like I got rhabdomyolysis. It's mental.
Do you feel mad sluggish if you do it real close to a game?
Oh, mate. You turn and you just get crippled. Man, it is awful. I was like, never again. Never. Yeah.
And it's almost more frustrating because you feel like you've done all that work.
Yeah.
Like you've done like extras to be like, I'm going to be unbelievable.
I've recovered. Yeah. I've recovered so well. Next minute, you're like flicking one of those dates or a prune.
Yeah. You've got to find your own routine, haven't you?
And then you pee, and then like your urine's like brown. Like, I'm dying. Yeah. I've fully got rhabdomyolysis. Kidneys are shutting down. But yeah, that's sort of my habits around that.
One more thing. Thanks for that. But fasting, have you ever done that?
Yes.
Have you done intermittent fasting, and what's your take on that?
So I had at Bath one time. This was actually quite funny. At Bath, there was I had a very bad autoimmune disease. You guys were there at the time. I had my knees. I had like bad arthritis of my knees, and my I couldn't solve it through the specialist they took me to. He couldn't figure out. He gave me all these autoimmune medications, and I was like, it wasn't working. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get weird with this. And when alternative, I watched this documentary from Russia about fasting, and I was like, yeah, that sounds a bit of me. So then when I was rehabbing my hamstring with these messed up knees, like with huge effusions, my knees were like massive.
I remember.
It was like running around on broken glass. Anyway, I did like a 6-day water fast whilst rehabbing. It was crazy, and I remember it quite vividly actually, because the first 48 hours were terrible, and then after 70 like after 3 days you're fine, like you're absolutely fine, you can go for ages. It's so interesting. And then but as humans, as we're sort of brought up and raised in civilization, we're told that we have to have the 3 square meals a day without failure, otherwise you might die. It's so strange. I was thinking, that doesn't make any sense. How would a wild Homo sapien just know that they're going to get 3 meals a day all the time? But anyway, it did make me feel.
It's going to get richer, mate, if you don't consume.
Yeah. You eat. Big Pharma wants you fat so we can give you more meds for your diet. Anyway, let's not get that rabbit hole. But yeah, I do like fasting. So if I was, but that was my first experience with it, and I was like, this is cool. You feel so great. You do get this sort of mental acuity, and it's just nice to sort of be freed from the sort of grip of spiking insulin, etc. So after that, especially when I'm not in a schedule in terms of like training, if I had my own sort of freedom around my training, I wouldn't eat sort of in the morning. I'd definitely only eat twice or once a day max. I just feel like you feel so much better, especially around like physically performing. I think the hungry wolf hunts the hardest. Do you know what I mean? Like having sort of a big bloated stomach training, your blood's everywhere where it shouldn't be. It's sort of concentrating on digesting your food. It's in your intestines rather than in your sort of muscles. So that's how I sort of feel. But this is very anecdotal. But I think that's how I'd approach how I time my meals.
You went 6 days without water.
Oh no! I had water. It was a water fast. Sorry.
I was just going to say, because I was like,
Oh,
surely
no,
you're gone.
So I had water, just electrolytes and water. That was it. So just
So you only had water. That makes a lot more sense, bro. I'm this guy is.
But mate, I was at rehab and everything with it. It was great, and I felt so good. After the first 2 days, that was awful. I was with Matty P. Remember Matt Pickard, legend.
The best of the best, Matt Pickard.
Yeah, but yeah, that was sort of my first experience. I was like, yeah, this makes sense. And like but then you can go too far with it, can't you? You can get a little bit religious and turn into Jesus days and
well, speaking of on the fasting situation, you know Ryan Mills, the centre, played for Worcester, unbelievable player, great bloke, and he's in some shape as well. He's like a good athlete. He's had a fair share of injuries, but like he used to, I don't know how long he'd done it for. I reckon my guess is I think he'd done it for like 4 or 5 years, bro, where he'd only eat after 3 or 4 p.m. and then he would just kind of like eat whatever he wanted. And the bloke was in such good shape, and he's like a good professional. And you know, like obviously speaking to you boys, you know what I'm like I try and sort of I try to be as professional as possible. I try loads of stuff in terms of like whatever. So I was like, let me give this a go. So I was like, I did it for like 3-4 weeks, and I felt pretty good. But I got 4 p.m. and I'd be so hungry, man. So I'd like smash back loads of food. But I was like, I'm sure this is doing some good stuff for me. And then like a month came down the line, I had my skinnies and weight, and I was like, here we go. Step on the scales. I've gained 2 kilos, mate. I'm like, what's going on here? This doesn't work for me. Can that one straight away.
Really?
That's too good. That's too good.
You eating in the evening?
Bro, whatever was there, I was so hungry, man. Anything. The butter would go down straight almost. It was a joke.
There's the problem.
Yeah. That is the problem. But then I kind of listened to what he was doing instead of doing like my own research. And obviously, you know, you can't eat whatever you want, but he could, because if just like the way his genetics were or whatever, it just worked for him. So he'd be banging Five Guys straight at 4 p.m. or McDonald's on the way back from training, whatever. Like the guy just ate like, and he'd do it before games, like it was just his thing. And obviously it worked for him. Didn't work for me.
Oh, keep
Yeah, I
going.
feel it's so- but Max, you love your food though, bro. Like you love your cooking, and you've
Gusto.
obviously got quite a big social media following because of that. Where did your love for cooking come, or cuisine?
I was brought up. My dad always cooked us meals, so like, and then we sort of got incorporated into the food cooking preparation. It almost felt like a punishment at the time, but before you know it, you know exactly how to cook after a while, after years of doing it. And then I ended up in a house full of young men who couldn't cook when I took to pro rugby, and then I was take ownership of this. So then I ended up feeding everyone. It was a lot of fun, actually. I have very fond memories of that, sharing meals with some of the nearest and dearest. But
He's a good chef.
yeah, it was great fun. Having JJ as my landlord, or absolute warlord, shall we say? But yeah, just complete ownership of everything. But yeah, it was good fun. I enjoyed it a lot, and that's
Still my highlight of Bath is knowing that Max is going to cook for us on a Friday night, a spag bowl or something. Literally, we would get together and be like, okay, who's buying this? Max wouldn't buy much. He would tell us what to get. Or sometimes he'd bring everything. And we would probably park off at Ant's place. Sometimes at your place when you were living down near my spot next to JJ. Were you close to JJ? You were close to JJ? Yeah, you were close to JJ. We'd go there and it was the best food, mate. Honestly, I can't talk him up enough as a chef. It was crazy. The flavors, because you are like a bit of a mad scientist, like you are with your training. That's when I sit here and I'm talking to you about this and the sauntering and the fasting. It's like, I love it. Absolutely love it. You really, mate, this is, I think your gift too is all the research that you've done on yourself over the years. Sharing that with people is a very special little thing you can do. So
I had to send a recipe for the bolognese to Elise semi recently, so she's been up. She's like texted me what the recipe was because Ant wanted it. I was like, oh god, here we go. But yeah, times. But yeah, man, that's how I got into it. And then again with the arthritis, I looked more into it, how to medicinally. And then sort of now I'm 80% of the time I eat whole foods, and the other 20% of the time I sort of eat the naughties, and that's about it. Yeah.
what you're consuming? What's your whole foods that you're consuming? Staples.
Lots of red meat, lots of fair bit of liver. I probably eat liver once or twice a week, along with oysters, and just like meat. And then I'll cook all the yummy things I like to eat. So sort of a lot of Italian cuisine, Southeast Asian cuisine, spot of Asian. I quite like Indonesian, like beef rendang, satay.
Now you're talking to me, son.
Yeah. We still make that stuff happen. We still make that shit happen.
And Maxi, the last time we spoke, you mentioned you had been doing voice acting.
I have been doing voice acting, actually, Michael. I'm also signing up for another course of voice acting in March. So watch this space. I'll be entering your eardrums soon, Brian.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Entertainer. Fuck me.
I love to narrate like instructions as well.
Instructions. Well, show us then. How would you
Show
do
us
it?
something show us something.
And if it's instructions, it's got to be very like. Here we go. Environmentally friendly disposal. Old electrical appliances must not be disposed of together with the residual waste, but have to be disposed of separately. The disposal at the communal collection point via private persons is for free. The owner of old appliances is responsible to bring the appliances to these collecting points or to similar collection points. With this little personal effort, you contribute to recycle valuable raw materials and the treatment of toxic substances, like stuff like that, or like medicinal pharmaceutical sort of sales. So you have to like sort of talking up a product in that regard. But then I would love to do like audiobooks. That would be a lot more fun. But you take what
I could hear you in an airport. You sound like an airport voice.
those airport people, well, they're fucking NPCs, aren't they? They're NPCs.
This is where I see Max. So like is it like you get like your Tom Hardys and your I can't remember who else there is, like the guy that played Superman, that's from Jersey. All these like heartthrobs, right? They go on the CBBS and read the bedtime stories. And you get all the mums tweeting, being like, "Oh my god, look at this guy," and all this. That's Lahiff. That's where he's gonna be.
I can't wait.
What about accents?
I would. Oh, bro, we played the Bulls on the weekend. Oh, Okies, they were fucking huge, eh? They were big boys.
You sound like an airport voice, eh?
Like a fucking bear, man. Bro, he was ginormous. I was like, I wanted to get weird, but I was like, is this going to be insulting to a bunch of Afrikaners?
Yeah.
Come here, boy. I'm going to knock your bloody head flat, eh?
Brilliant. Australian. Hit us with Australian, like your dad.
So there I was, mate. I was having a great old time out the back. Big set coming in. And I caught on a backhander, straight into the barrel, dumped on a reef, punctured my face real bad.
Oh, yes.
It's the nodding of the head that does it for me, bro. The nodding. The fucking Australian bit. That's brilliant.
I don't know, like you meet no, South Auckland's quite fun. But there's so many good accents now, aren't there?
I love your English, absolute English gent. The absolute. I love when you talk like, but you used to do it all the time. When you're cooking, there's no cameras on you, but to know Max and to know Max behind the curtains, you're doing it as entertainment. You're talking to yourself, but you've got everyone listening to you. I love it. But the English gent, for me, you're a welly boy. You fucking got it, mate. So when I hear that, I love it.
Yeah, it started when I started reading Sherlock Holmes. I couldn't get over like Conan Doyle's writing. So when I saw Conan Doyle's writing and like the way he sort of described Victorian London and these characters, there was this immense sense of sort of I don't know, there was this nostalgia. I don't know why I had it, but there was nostalgia there. And there's something very warm about those books, which I really, really sort of love, and always saw sort of a sense of comradeship in the books, which makes no sense because there's nothing Victorian about me at all. But I bloody love those books so much. And after that, and then on top of that, you obviously have the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes, and he obviously understands that sort of spirit and that language very well, and what he portrayed is sort of how I envisioned it as well. And it's something I really quite like about it all.
I'm writing a script, Maxi, for like a rugby pilot TV series thing, and you can play one of the characters. I'll write a character for you.
Like, is it Welsh rugby players playing in like living together or something? That would be
Yeah,
class.
but it's called working title is Valleys, and it's about like
Here we go.
this Welsh rugby club.
Is Reese Priestland in it, boy?
No, I've got some caricatures of certain players in there.
Can you imagine like the level of comedy you could, like powerful comedy you could get from that? It's just how many like the sort of the content would be just so cancelable. But yeah, like the stuff we've seen, oh my god, it's just so entertaining. But yeah,
can you do a Welsh accent?
A Welsh accent? Oh, not really. I'm not very good at that. But
okay, so I'll have to. To be fair, I do have a South African character, Kiwi character.
Nailed it. Yeah,
Can do an English character.
Get all the big ones in. But yeah.
But you know that Guy Ritchie, when he was coming through, he was living in London, and he used to go out, and he said the first time he makes a movie, he's going to get this bouncer to play one of the baddies. It was the governor, the guy from Stock and Two
what-
Smoking Barrels. He's actually one of the hardest bare knuckle boxers ever to come through London. Like a bro, he's a nasty piece. There's a documentary on Netflix called The Governor. It was out a few years ago. And Guy Ritchie, mate, he's the same. Well, I'm not going to say he's the same as you, but he's got this. He's so excited about characters and the voice. And when you listen to him talking about his movies and his scripts, you can't help but smile. Like you listen to this guy talk about Snatch and all these little dodgy characters that he's made up in his head. I used to get that same energy from you whenever you used to talk about film or theater or characters. You love the characters of the game. You always loved the person or someone interesting. And that's what's been, for me, what's been hiding in Premiership rugby and English rugby for such a long time is almost these characters have been covered up. And for some reason, like we spoke a few months back, Maxi, about, the word, it's not with the values of the game, or you can't be a character, you've got to be in line. It's almost like, you know what I mean? But I think, jump in there.
I completely remember what you was like. I completely agree with what you're saying. But the access to those characters, building them up, making them more sensational, and presenting it as such, I think that's a big part of growing the product of rugby. There are so many interesting people that you never really get a sense of their authenticity, and whether that's a cultural thing or whether that's a social media thing, I don't know. But there needs to be more of it. I completely agree. Like you get a bit of it. I think Joe Marler's done very well with it. He's great. He's actually absolutely great with it. But I think there's other guys as well. Sort of Ellis Genge, just a bit of like the West Country hard man. He's very funny. If you be around him a bit, he's brilliant person. In a world of like men who are tabby cats, it's nice to be around a few tigers. Do you know what I mean? So he's one of those, like who's completely edified by confrontation at any sort of level of any part of society, which is great. I really enjoy it. But I think getting more of those sort of weird characters onto podcasts, social media, and sort of building up what makes them unique and funny and special is the big ticket. Because if you look at sort of the big names in sort of French rugby, football, now the UFC, they've done very well because the UFC sort of changed. If you noticed, after Conor McGregor, they started making these guys superstars: Israel Adesanya, Sugar Sean O'Malley, even what's his name, the guy who's just been banging out Israel Adesanya, went up to light heavyweight. But even he, who can't even speak English, he's got a massive cult hero, Paul Acosta. And so, like, the way they've made these guys into sort of deities of the sport.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
for
sure. But I guess it also takes the players to take part in that, like, and put themselves out there and be sort of not afraid of taking that sort of scrutiny on and just playing that part. But I think that's absolutely what needs to happen.
Yeah. 100%. Because you watch, like, I don't know NFL very well, but I know players. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You know NBA guys. You don't like Ja Morant or Kevin Durant just because of how big they are. Yeah.
And this is for someone who's 32. There's like there's young kids that don't know anything about these sports, but they know the people. Especially now, like you're talking about social media and stuff. It's almost bigger. It's bigger in some cases than the sport itself. So like, the more you can get people out there, and this is coming from someone that doesn't use social media for that sort of thing in the slightest. Like I don't almost like that kind of thing, but there's there's a place for it, especially if you're that type of character.
Mate, completely. I think it just takes like a few people to just keep building it up, and hopefully it sort of saturates a bit more, and then it becomes something. But I think there needs to be a more sort of conscious effort being made into making that happen.
It's funny though, because on that you do something a bit different that's not in like the old school rugby nature, and and you get people being like, he can't be doing this, or he's not focused on like I can't remember who it was now that had a go at that Simon Jordan, I don't even really know what he is, but he's on that Talksport Daily, and he's one of the presenters, and he was having to go at that Emma Raducanu for going to some big time event that she went to. Can't remember what it was. The one where they say again.
And he was like, she shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, and I'm like, mate, you've seen she might have been there for an hour. Like, what does that mean? She might have been training for the rest of it. She's allowed to do that. Like, it's ridiculous.
Percent, mate. Yeah, that's part of rugby's problem as well, isn't it? It's not within the values of the sport and all this malarkey. I sort of appreciate that integrity and sort of, but on the other side of it, you're like, nah, that's too stuffy. It's hamstringing the sort of development of this game and
I'm
bringing
the
it.
same. I see both sides of that big time.
But you've lost everything then, because right now we're also trying to be PC with the contact. Like we don't want to scare away the kids. But rugby is for gladiators. You're gonna break your nose. You're gonna lose your ligaments in your knees. You're not gonna have a neck. You're probably gonna die at 65 because you got brain damage. It's what happens. I'm sorry. Like we're laughing. We don't know what's going to happen to those guys who played in 2003 with multiple concussions. They know what they did, though. They were warriors. They looked at everyone was scared of them. Martin Johnson, Neil Back, Will Greenwood. Not so much Will Greenwood. He wasn't like a punchy dude, but he had a character. There was like something about him. Jason Robinson, character. The Brain Trust, Dawson and Wilkinson. There was like, when you listen to these guys or watch them or whatever I did, I was like, they were like comic book heroes, They were tough. You were scared of them. But now it's like almost the powers that be are almost trying to water down the game. You try and take away from the physical side of it, where in America, they just like, let's pump it up. Okay, it's been a little bit different now with the head-to-head contact and stuff like that in the NFL. But everything that's big and large and making it the game that it is, they sell it, and they sell it big time. And I just feel like that good old saying, just be yourself, is going to be huge for us going forward. If the game's going to survive, because really right now in the UK, we've lost 3 teams. Mike's been on 2 of them. They've gone down, not 2, 1 of them, sorry. It's really a time where we've got to think about those things. We've got to think about the entertainment factor, and we've got to bring viewership in. But I think there's so much there for us. There's so many cool characters. There's so many cool minds that play the game, and people love it. Celebrities love it. When they come and watch, and you see a guy like, what's his name? Aquaman.
Jason Momoa.
He's at the World Cup final, and you're just like, geez, like there's some guys there, and he's with the New Zealand team all the time, and he's hugging them, and that's great for the sport. The same can be done in England. Celebrities that love the game, get them there. Anyway, I'm always thinking like that. I'm a big English fan, a big English rugby fan. So I want to see the game back on top, and the characters that I've met on my journey, because I was definitely a supporter first, coming through late. I was a supporter, loved the game, loved the Premiership. Used to watch it with my dad. Used to watch Leicester versus Wasps until the age of 18. I religiously watch those guys like Lawrence Delalio taking on Martin Johnson and Lucy and all these names you could check around for days. And you just want the same now in the game. You know what I mean? You almost want those characters to come through and just allow them to be themselves and to show that in the modern world that we live in.
Well,
So
I think that there's certainly an appetite for authenticity, because like Max, you had that interview a couple seasons back that went viral. Benno had that man of the match interview a couple weeks back that went viral. Guys just being themselves. The Rec's hot right now. After last week, the Rec's hotter right now. But I think there is like an appetite for that authenticity. But it brings it back to like that storytelling. Like I've seen now Netflix have just released that Six Nations thing.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, that lack of storytelling and lack of building up characters. You need, every good story has a good guy and a bad guy, and we need to create those characters in the game to move the story of the game forward. As Marcus says, he knows characters, because the NFL is so good at building these guys up to larger than life individuals, and I think like just because you like look at LeBron James, bro. Like I think you'd have to. There's not a corner of the earth that wouldn't know that guy's name. And granted, it's NBA, completely different sport. He's one of the giants of the game, but he hasn't stepped a foot wrong, you know. So here's a guy they've still managed to build up into essentially what is a business. He is a business, and he's still upheld the values, you know. So I think you can build guys up into larger than life characters that people want to root for or people want to follow and still stay in those lines. You don't have to be a dickhead, you know what I mean? But like I think rugby can take a leaf out of the NFL's book, the NBA's book, WWE. I mean, in terms of the ability to tell stories and sell characters, you know, those are the people you need to be modeling your blueprints off of.
Yeah. I completely agree with that.
It's quite rugby's still kind of scared to let go a little bit though, because even on that Six Nations documentary, am I right in not saying Wales and somebody else pulled out like halfway through and they're like when things were going badly? But that's the things you want to see.
Yeah, I know. I thought, did England close the? It was because they didn't give. It's because they didn't have editorial rights, apparently.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, they couldn't thing out of there that they wanted, whereas Netflix was never going to give that up. But I think they just give all access. It's got to be done at this point.
Yeah.
That's how you get the interesting, vivid authenticity, and you get to see the characters at their finest, their lowest.
And it's a tough. It's it because it's a tough one for a coach at that point. I get it. Look, there's cameras around. You're going through a difficult situation. Going to be having some difficult conversations. Stuff that it's difficult to just talk to one person about. Don't mind putting it on a documentary, but that's like I said, that's the things you want to see. Like you watch documentaries, these sports documentaries, and a lot of the time you remember some of the like difficult situations of them. Like that's the bit that's the most interesting.
Look how many of them have been memed from. Like, look at that the amount of meme material and like stories that come out of that, and like I've been shown so many of the sort of clips from that by coaches. Such powerful material that people want to keep like and replicating. I completely agree. You just need to be all unfiltered, get as much as on it, especially in the world of screens that we now live in. I think that's an important avenue to take advantage of.
Max, just a quick one, just to kind of change the question I wanted to ask, just about like like convey. No, this is a serious one. I've got a few of those ones too, but this one's a conventional one. We just spoke, like these boys asked me a little bit about sort of my pathway last week, and I just wanted to talk through yours because yours was a pretty unconventional one. I remember obviously going through sort of the academy at like age group, and then we've all signed full time, and I look over and I've seen. Obviously, we'd met before a couple of times from the Wednesday night sessions or whatever, but you hadn't been like consistently to them. And then we signed full time, and I look over and there's this absolute unit there with this top off, and I'm just like, okay, Lahiff's here, and then obviously flown through to there. But can you just kind of talk through the way it worked for you, which might not have been maybe conventional?
So my school was Wellington College, big rugby school back in the day. Still is, actually, to be fair. And I was a very late developer in terms of like physical prowess and as a rugby player. I struggled to crack the first 15 there until my very last part of the year, in my upper sixth year. And then I went on. I was still sort of had my eyes. I didn't tell anyone, but I still really wanted to play pro rugby. But I was like, how am I going to get this done? So I kept playing rugby in London during I took a gap year. I was playing rugby at Roslyn Park for the second 15 and the Colts, which is like the under 20s, to get in contact with Neil Hatley at the time, who was the head of London Irish Academy. And he asked if I wanted to come down for a bit because I had my first 15 coach at Wellington and also a guy called Rocky Skinner, rest in peace, Big Rocks, who was the Colts coach at Roslyn Park. And they both got in contact with him. So then he was like, all right, come down to the ACE program, train here. So I was training at Roslyn Park every night. And every other night I was training down at the Avenue in Sunbury. And got one trial game. I can't remember, who did we play, Mark? I don't think you played because you were just golden boy then. I don't think you played.
Old golden balls. Yeah.
Like some kind of representative team. London Irish Academy versus someone else. It was quite good crack. After that one game, though, he was like, "Yeah, I'll give you a Connie." I remember it so well. I was in the middle of Wimbledon Station when I got the phone call. I planned this big gap. Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going to be happening. I was getting my head kicked in playing second 15 rugby for Roslyn Park, mate. That bridge of sort of late teenagerhood to manhood is just you can't replace it. The density
Humbles you fast.
yeah, it just can't be done, especially the lads. Tankerous humans, those ones. But yeah, great times. But yeah, I remember it. And so I must have been, yeah. Then I had to cut my gap year short, and I was training at London Irish, mental. So much fun though, so much fun. But yeah, I was a bit later on than everyone else had sort of done age groups and stuff, and I just sort of rolled up and done it that way. It was a great crack. Really enjoyed it.
It's mad how those little moments, right? Like you're talking about you at the Wimbledon station or whatever, but it's like, how long ago is that? 13 years ago. But you just remember you was just sat there still. It's like a big little moment for you, wasn't it?
I reckon after 27, time flies at some kind of strange, it like triples or something. It's very weird. I'm now 34. No, I'm 19 years, so 15 years ago. So, wow. That's a decent career in itself. Do you know what I mean?
You're just getting started, baby. That longevity training. Woo!
I know. I feel fine, which is worrying. I hope everything else upstairs is feeling fine. Like cheese, damn. But anyway,
on that again, Max, like the importance of, because I was a bit of an idiot when I was younger, and maybe at some stages I probably thought I was better than I was, or like didn't like, yeah, stuff like that. Like I remember I was obviously talking last week. I moved to Sarries, and the reason I moved to Sarries was because Toby Booth wanted me to go on loan to London Welsh. I'm 18, mate, or 19, and I'm like, nah, can't do that. I should be playing for the first team. Like, what an idiot. Like, and a little bit of me really wonders like how much that would have actually helped me. And I know you went on loan a fair bit, and talk to me about your loans and how you thought that they helped you, and then maybe even talk about Australia, New Zealand when you went over there.
Yeah, so my first year at London Irish, I was on loan to Roslyn Park. I was down there actually with a certain William Collier, the blue-eyed giant of Harlequins.
What a boy.
Oh, one of the nicest, gregarious, handsome, good man all round.
Yeah.
Mate, our combined age wasn't as old as Chris Ritchie, the hooker at the time.
It's mental, isn't it?
Nat 3, 42 years old, played with the lovely. Fair play to them. City Slicker did not need to be playing, but anyway, put on him. That's another story for another day. But yeah, so that was good fun. I did enjoy it. It was interesting, just like in terms of you just got game time, because obviously it was difficult to play for the first team when you're 19, like 20, especially as a tight 5 forward. That was important. I enjoyed it. I did find the sort of the social element of men's rugby at that level, Nat 2, I found it pretty alien. I was like, what the hell? It was almost quite intimidating. The sort of banter. It was so crazy. And now obviously I love it and cherish it dearly. But when you're not used to that at this point, so you're like quite intimidated by all these grown men, who some of them old enough to sort of almost be your father, and they're talking about certain subjects, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? But it was fascinating, obviously, and also galling, but intimidating. But it was all really good. I think that was almost more valuable than the rugby itself. But because Nat 2, athletically, I was, especially after sort of a year of and a pre-season and a year of pro rugby, I was a considerable athlete comparatively to those sort of guys who were just training a couple of times a week. Obviously, there were a few guys who were freaks, but generally speaking, so competing against those kind of guys was relatively easy until you got London Welsh. Welsh was unbelievable. I really enjoyed that. It gave me a lot of self-esteem. I had Phil Greening and Mike Friday as my coaches. Phil Greening, obviously, when you were London Irish as a young guy, they're like, just do what you're told. Sometimes it's hard to have the self-esteem to put yourself forward into sort of roles you want to do on the field, like carry, tackle, have the confidence to be that guy. Phil Greening was like forcing me to make me really uncomfortable. And I realized, like, I was playing against teams like Worcester with like Dale Rasmussen and that. And I realized I could, and like Tamapo and Alex Latui, and I realized I could carry against these guys and do very well. And that was a big contributing factor to when guys like Corbazero and Clark Dermody got injured, and step in and actually do a job and be effective and actually flourish in that environment. That was so fun, bro. Yeah, London Welsh was a fantastic experience. I had 4 years at London Irish. Sadly, sadly, Toby Booth had been off to Bath, and then Brian Smith and Glenn Delaney came in. I was playing pretty much in and out, first choice loose head for London Irish at the time at 22, 23. So I sort of thought, yeah, I'm the man. At 22, I'm the man. I'm a loose head prop, Premiership starter. We were okay. We were sort of middling to lower bottom. Like, we were starting to decline then quite significantly when Hats and Boofy left. Then I ended up going. But then I was like, oh, really wanted to play Super Rugby. Always had. Went to Melbourne via Hawke's Bay in the Mitre 10 Cup, or the ITM at the time, which is like the New Zealand domestic league. Again, another fascinating like insight into culture and how things can be done there. I've learned so much about people, and like sort of the way New Zealanders approach the game is so different to ours. There's not like this, because when you make an academy, there's a spoon-fed, but spoon-fed's harsh, but like, you know, it's a lot easier. Whereas in New Zealand, unless you're very, very good, there's not really any academies when I was there. Like, basically cut your teeth in the ITM, unless you were a freak show age group kid and you were attached to one of the Super Rugby franchises. You had to work it hard. So you did a job. Most of these guys had jobs. Then they would play in the ITM for 4 months. And then, or what was it, 3-month season, 4-month season? Then if they were good enough, they make the Super Rugby. And then if they were good enough after that, they'd make the All Blacks. It's like, it's quite thorough, and also quite difficult, because it really tests out whether you really want to make it, because you've got to turn up to these pre-season camps alongside having a job properly. And the hours were so like sort of uncivilized. Like, the boys were coming in from like 5 o'clock doing weights, then go and do a job. Most of them was manual labor. Then they'd come back for rugby in the evening. It was until the season started, and then it was full time. But it was otherwise it was sort of part time. It was a weird cut. It was like pro almost until Super Rugby started. But yeah, and that was so fun. Really enjoyed myself. Learned that I didn't have lungs for that game, so I was raining my nuts off. Like, super strong compared to all the Kiwi boys, but my God, they could run like gazelles, all of them, like insane at this level. So I was smashing the guts out of that guy called Grant Durns, my S&C coach at the time. His son plays for Japan. I don't know if you know him, Durns, the Warren Durns, the legend of a bloke anyway. And I was getting my head kicked in by him, just doing extra tests like every week. It was so much fun. But anyway, learned a lot. Headed off to Melbourne Rebels. Mental place. Melbourne, unbelievable city. Great food, incredible women, great culture, bloody great architecture. A bunch of gluttons, the Melbourne Knights. It's a fascinating city. Very little. A lot of fun.
Right up my street.
Yeah, right up your street, Jeffrey. Very nice. Bells Beach, only a few hours away. You can get some good surfing down. I then met the Melbourne Rebels at the time. this was when Rabs and Dan Cipriani, Curtly Beale, and that had just left. I was brought into a team where the average age was about 22 or 23, all raving hedonists, as all good Australian men are. So all our home games were Fridays. We had Saturday, Sunday, and we would send it every week.
Yeah.
It was mental. All a bit too. I was almost a bit too much for me at that age. Like I was like, am I mature enough to sort of handle this sort of these temptations and vices?
Hell yeah, baby.
Yeah, hell yeah, indeed, Jeff. But I had this coach called Tony McGann, who was a very difficult man for me. I wasn't used to it. He was quite an old school disciplinarian. I was struggling with the move. I wasn't playing so well. And then as a result, my relationship with him fell out. And then it was very difficult for me to sort of rectify the situation without overreacting and becoming quite anxious about it all. So as a young man, I really struggled with that. And you sometimes see that with younger players, with coaches who are quite strong-willed and very, like, you know what I mean, sort of heavy with the stick and not with the carrot, if you know what I'm getting at. So that was a difficult time in my life in terms of trying to manage that. Now, obviously, it'd be a lot easier knowing what I know and having experienced it now. But it was just a difficult time to perform well, and I developed like a weird sort of vocal cord dysfunction off the back of it.
I remember that.
Yeah, so I couldn't breathe properly. My asthma went. And then and subsequently the didn't really pan out well. I had sort of some spinal sort of injury. It wasn't really an injury, it was just a scan that looked booky, but he decided that that was enough to sort of terminate my contract, and subsequently he did, sadly. But I would have loved to stay and tried to fix and done. It is what it is, but the whole experience as a whole was quite brilliant, and I really enjoyed it. And then I ended up at Bath, where I met you two fine gentlemen, and then onwards to Bristol. Well, I went to Claremont, and then my spine reared its head again. Back to Bristol into the West Country, and here I stay. But along with many other sort of trials and tribulations in between.
Oh, good.
You're doing really well at Bristol. How? Obviously, we all know about Pat Lam, you know, highly successful coach, but also, you know, by all accounts, a disciplinarian. I don't know if, for lack of a better term.
Don't put him in a tough place, Mikey. Don't put him in a tough place. We don't do that.
No, how do you find the Bristol environment and working under a successful coach like that?
And yeah, so I suppose with a coach like that, it gives you a system where you can be very accountable about what you're doing. There's no real hiding places or things for excuses, other than maybe there's an element of sort of your sense of autonomy atrophies because you're in a place where you're sort of told what to do, how to do it exactly. So like having so many systems, but with any sort of approach or coaching philosophy, there's always drawbacks or and boons to it. So I'd say that's the major thing with Pat Lam. But ultimately, I've really enjoyed my time here. It's been brilliant, and I feel like I feel like my education in terms of my rugby knowledge and nous about the game has been tremendously upskilled, because he's so thorough with how he sort of explains the why of what he's doing, so his players can sort of improvise into doing what he needs on the field.
Yeah, I asked that question because, you know, you do seem really settled and really happy at Bristol, and you're playing some great rugby. So it's interesting to hear how that kind of culture is being driven.
Yeah. Well, I'd say the culture itself is driven very much by the player. There is a strong playing group, and that's a big part of why I love it here so much. Like, there are so many fun personalities. At the time when I got here, We were playing at Clifton Rugby Club. We were training out of Clifton Rugby Club, which was a proper old school setup, real throwback, like tacky floor, proper bar. We're eating in there. We've got like chicken lasagna and fucking soup that makes noise. You drink it, it's like gritty. It was proper humbling up the Farley house. It was so funny. And then you've got these players picked up. He's like gone full money ball on a few lads from like some champ clubs, top of the champ. And then you've got like, and then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got like guys like Charles Piatow and like, and then he's got like full on money ball, like tight heads from Jersey. It's mental, like Lewis Theed and stuff. And so you've got really immense dynamic of people. And I just really enjoyed it. There was a sense of sort of, especially the guys who were sort of the sort of the rejects almost. Like I almost was one of those as well, because during that year it was very difficult to get a contract, and my stock was quite low. I'd struggled at Bath on my final year. I hadn't played well. I was struggling in some respects to get a good club in the Prem. And then when my Claremont World Cup Joker spot fell through because of my medical, Bristol gave me that opportunity. And there were a few other guys sort of like that, guys who've just come up from the champ, or a few guys who'd struggled in the Welsh rugby club scene. And it was just, there was a real sense of sort of camaraderie there, and I bloody loved it. And then you had like guys like John Afoa and like Charles Piatow. It was a great mix of people, and it was very fun, very, very fun, quite special.
With that culture, I'm going to jump on there, and having such a environment where it's tight like that, and I get that. I almost like that a bit. I like the Patriots way, the knowing your role, your job, and being taught how to do it daily. Where's the release for you boys? Do you guys have something where it's, if you're having so many meetings, if you've got so much beep, 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 where's your release as a group? Like,
yeah, but that's,
do you guys have that? Do you guys have a good social group? You're going out, you're doing stuff away from the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there is a fair strength in the social group. Like back then we used to go out quite a lot. It was a lot of fun. And also it was the most eloquent bunch of sappers I've ever been around. And I thought that sort of catharsis of ranting and raving. Yeah. You know, the ranting and raving of your circumstances is just perfect.
Who was the best one? Who was the best sapper? I love a sapper, man.
None have been as great as Carl Eastman, but
the best actually, yeah.
Wow.
Palmer Newport, also elite sapper. He could sap at like a Freudian Carl Jung level. But anyway,
getting him on. We're getting him on, and I would like you to be on it too with him, because you guys could talk all sorts.
Bloke. The best sapper here, Lewis Theed had he could sap, but Ben Earl was very good, gifted, and that made no sense to me at the time, because Ben Earl was such a young man. He had such a brilliant career ahead of him, but he was still a day. It was like he had lemons for breakfast. I really enjoyed it. It was
people don't understand the energy that gives a group.
It's so true, and everyone's like, "No, it's bad to be a sapper." No. There's something so holy about a gifted, articulate sapper. Treasure. Do you know what I mean?
It's beautiful for so many reasons. Because one, it's funny for a start, and two, if you're feeling a bit down, you're like, oh, "This is tough." I'm like, he makes it sound like this is hell. So it's great for me.
Buoyed by it, exactly. He's sapping at the moment.
But then there's also just the good energy givers. Someone like a Stookie, man. He is so good for a team. Or your Sam Edgley's just gold.
Yeah. Stookie is a special human in that regard, isn't it? There's some kind of weird charisma about that guy.
What's the word? I would say honor. There's something, just honor. Like, you think about it, he would be one of the first guys to have your back for no reason. He'd just be there next to you. You know, Stooks was or is a special. Right. He really is a special man for a group.
He is very special. Yeah, Daniel Thomas also a great snapper. I love that guy. But he's like, when he does it, because he's like tough Welsh, Westphalian like farmer, dairy farmer, proper tough, goes and does his cows, does pro rugby at the same time. You're like, yeah, it makes it even more sort of profound.
Do you remember Dan Bowden? He had a gift.
Oh,
We all know him, no?
he was
No,
gifted.
we all played with
He
him.
was gifted, mate.
No, but Marcus, when DB came to Bath, though, he was a lot older, and I think his body was just slowly sort of giving up on him.
Okay.
Irish, he was Irish. He was a lot younger. So then Bath, he was a bit different. He had a bit of grey in the mane. He was a bit more,
The statesman, yeah.
a bit more of a statesman. Whereas Irish, he was the hot guy from Highlanders and Saders, who was sort of a bit of a wonder kid. But yeah, he was Sir John Sapwell. He was like he was bleeding out of pine trees. That's how sappy he was.
Kiwis are so funny for it though, man, because I've played with quite a few and they love a good sap and they're funny with it. But then you come to a game, mate, and they're the most excited people you've ever seen. You're like, what's happened to you?
I feel like in New Zealand, the coaching's a lot more player-led over here. When they come here, they're not used to being told to suck eggs as much as people. They're also a lot more especially guys like the outside halves and halfbacks and stuff. They're a lot more upskilled in terms of what they're looking for generally than guys over here. So like, I think they just take it with a pinch of salt from head coaches who were ex-locks or telling them telling them about pitch position. They kind of get a bit weird about it, and that's DB to a T, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a gent.
Oh, we had some interesting. Do you remember, Max? We'd sometimes pick TV up in the car on our way to Farley House. Every now and again, he'd drop me a text and be like, "Bro, please, I need a lift," and we'd pick him up. And for that 25 minutes, I don't think we got a word in. He taught us some real interesting sapping techniques on those trips.
Yeah, he was a good talker, wasn't he? He was a gifted talker. He couldn't show.
He's doing well now coaching. He's coaching in Japan now.
Is he? Yeah, I can imagine. Maybe a very good coach. He knew the game very well.
Understands the game.
Carl Eastman will be a great coach. I mean, he was working with the Reds jersey, and obviously, unfortunately, they've gone down. But his rugby knowledge and the way he was so charismatic about explaining and teaching, because he taught a lot of people. Like when I got to Bath, we talk about sapping, and he was ultra. But the way he coaches, man, he used to coach me. As a player, he would coach you, and he would coach the forwards too. He won't hold back a penny, buddy. He'll tell you how it is, straight on the fucking line, bud.
Are you talking about Kyle?
Yes. Yeah. I think the reason he was so like that, though, was because obviously he was quite brilliant. Like his skill set was quite singular. So then when he's trying to, I think he just got frustrated seeing people like who couldn't do it all the time, and that's what infuriated him. But that's just how it is, I'm afraid.
The guy is so funny. He is one of the best rugby players I reckon I've played with. Like, he's incredible. Like, and also, I'll tell you two things about him. I was at Newcastle, we played against Wasps, and I've cut back in. And in the game, I've been hit pretty hard by Ash Johnson. Big bit of kit. Like, you'll know when he hits you, especially like me. And I've then stepped off my left and got banged, mate, so hard in the ribs. And I'm there thinking, oh, that must have been him again. I look up and it's Kyle, and Kyle's shorter than me, bro. And like, yeah, he's pretty stacked, but he's like small. That bloke is so powerful, bro. He's powerful, good footwork, and his like decision making at the line is like I've never seen before. But one thing that's funny that you're talking about, in terms of favorite people to play with, he's up there for me. Like I just liked having him on my team. But like in terms of you saying people like him almost being so much cleverer than everyone else that he's just kind of there, like, what's going on? It's so funny watching him in training. He'll do something and someone's not there, and he's literally just stands there and he's like, what on earth? And then in meetings, bro, we had a pretty mad team, to be fair, in terms of personalities. We'd have Wadey would be asleep in the front of the meeting. We'd have Danny Cipriani arguing with Elliot Daly, arguing with Billy LaRue, and there was another big character that would always get involved in this. I've missed someone, but like they'd all be arguing about like all these points, and Kyle's just there at the front, just throwing his hands up, being like, "Boys, it's simple. It's this, this, and this," and then everyone would be like, "Yeah, fair enough. Next point."
Was actually the king. He was actually the Don, bro. He was the Don. He didn't have a team. He didn't have like an alliance. You know, there's always like a little alliance within our little hierarchies, our little chimp hierarchies in every club you go to. And he was just like alpha. He was the smallest, bro. And if he said to you, fucking play flat, and you weren't flat, I remember as a wing, the rugby league style, you know, and he's got George Ford, he's got Mark Ford. And if you don't listen to him, he was the king, but he used to tell Mark Ford how to fucking crack on. Do you know what I mean? Like when I used to watch him and Mark Ford conversate, I was like, Mark Ford, the respect he has for this guy, is it fear? Is it, I don't know what it is, but he can do whatever he wants. Do you know what I mean? Like, fuck, it was incredible. But he was the alpha male walking around at Bath when I got there, in terms of not physicality and stuff, but controlling and understanding how we're going to play and all that jazz. Incredible mind.
Bro, on and off the pitch, the guy be telling the physios that they're doing the wrong thing. It was making me laugh. I'd walk in the physio room and it would start off like a casual sort of like him joking around the physios. I come the next day and he's raging, man, just going at the physios, sort of like complaining about something that they've done wrong. Like he's someone that he knows what he wants, man, like for sure.
He's a unique man. He was a unique bloke. Yeah.
Hell of a player.
Yeah, I cherish my G-Wagon lifts with him.
And leading on from that, Max, like just quickly give me, like you obviously well traveled, played in a few different leagues. Who are some of the best players you've played with? And second to that, name some coaches that have been really influential in your career.
Ooh, best players.
Start with the players first, yeah.
Best players I played with.
Yeah.
On an Irish, bloody hell. Bloody hell, there's a few. Obviously, Salala Mapasua, Solossi Tangi Thakambau, Stefan Armitage were quite generational talents, in my opinion. I think they were very special. I don't think people realize how special they were. I think, obviously, then when I went to Hawke's Bay, I had Toulouse Saviano, who's now playing at Sale, still doing bits. I saw him on the other day, still got it. He was a freak show back then. Ehigh West, La Rochelle 10. I think he's at Toulon now. He was very, very good. Then I went to the Rebels, and then, God, we have Scott Higginbotham. He was very special. He's also one of the coolest men off the field I've ever met. Such a dude. And then Sean, very special player. Sean McMahon.
Yeah.
Or he made no sense. Yeah. He came out as sevens, right? There was a lot of hype about him. I did this contact drill with him, and he was still like 19 or something at the time. And I was like, I couldn't work out what was going on. He was just so strong, but there was nothing to him. Made no sense. There was something weird. There was like some spirit that possessed his body. He was so aggressive, so angry. He had 4X Castlemania tattooed on his ass. And then he got bees tattooed on his knees. The bloke was singular. Like, he was absolute legend of a bloke from Queensland. Fascinating guy, but also one of the most deceptive athletes I've ever seen. He was great. Very good. To Marty Ellison, very good. And then obviously I went to Bath. Bath. Obviously JJ, George Ford, sort of at the peak of their powers then. Carl Eastman was very, very good. Leroy Houston, Francois Lowe. He was good. He was very good. Yeah, and then these are the names that jump out at me anyway. And then I went to, who was actually weirdly good? The Amanaki Mafia, and he had a few games, but my God, he could turn on its head instantly.
I wonder if that story's ever been told on on a podcast. Old
Oh,
Matthew
no.
I'm at Bath. Wow, can write a book. What went
But
down?
I think that's his career, mate. Yeah, that's probably not the place.
But he was
anyway,
unbelievable. Bro. 20 times, 20 carries, 21 carries a game, and just do everything.
In 20 minutes. Yeah. Then to Bristol, where
By the way, just as Anthony's going to give you a call tomorrow, we forgot Anthony.
oh yeah,
He's going to fight you.
a Wizzle. Got to throw him in there. Got to throw a Wizzle. There's someone else as well, isn't there? I'm missing someone.
There's someone else. Rocco Daguni, mate. Come on.
The Messer.
Yes.
Got to be one
That's
of the
what I'm
best
missing.
for
It's a
me.
back three. I was missing a back three. I was like Semessa, yeah. Yeah, the Rock, man. Oh, mate. And then Bristol, obviously Semi Radradra was a freak. We also had Charles Gidzal, also hilariously good. John Afoa, mate, that guy did some stuff in training. He will never, ever, he never did it, like, he didn't do it regularly in games, but he could do stuff in training that you'd never see out of a type 5 fraud. Like, the guy was unbelievable, especially considering age.
Yeah.
I've seen one clip on Twitter or something where you're playing what looks like some touch game.
And he throws
that was nuts, mate.
Oh, bro, I was like this. I will never be good at rugby.
That was quality.
I was like, that's, yeah. Some of us are just different, and he was one. But the thing about him that made me even more surprised was I looked at John and I thought, yeah, just like a codesman, like a footballer who plays tight head. And then I saw him in the gym, bro, and he was a freaky athlete as well. Like, this guy was strong, like proper strong. Like, he was a serious athlete on top of all of that. But then outside of the club, every time I saw him, he had a beer in his hands. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Talents, brothers. Amen.
Absolutely. And he was so good for like team morale. He was brilliant bloke. I love talking to him. And he was full of some funny stories, man. A real bard, like real bard. Who else was there?
Journeymen.
Harry Thacker.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Harry was good, bro. He's one of those.
He don't
Yeah.
get
Probably one of the most gifted hookers I've ever played with.
and like so consistent. He doesn't get enough sort of.
I can't believe he's never knocked on the doorway. Has he?
I can, but yeah, he should have been in more stuff. Who else jumps out at me? If Siva Nalago was fit more, he'd certainly be amongst it as well. But
Andy Uren said too.
what?
Andy Uren said the same thing.
Mate, this guy, he's the best kept secret ever, but he just gets red carded or he's injured. But mate, lads, this guy's so horrendous when he's on. Like, it's actually scary. Like, freaky guy.
Max, you got anyone that's like real underrated, that like a name that maybe people might not like? Because obviously these players are like,
yeah, they're very classic, aren't they?
which makes sense. But like, is there anyone that you're like?
Yeah, I like that. That's good. Like,
Good.
who do I think's like really fucking good?
Same to you two boys as well. If you can think of some underrated
I've
boys
got
as
some.
well. Like,
Tommy Homer was one of the most completed players, and he was so under the radar. Bro, he won a golden boot. He played at 18.
Yeah, but
Cross the ball 20 meters. He could kick off both feet. He could step you. He could run around. He was quicker than all the wingers. It was really, bro. He was, for me, he was like really off the page. 125 caps for Irish, 97 caps for Bath.
I'll tell you what his problem was, though. I feel like he was almost fighting his love for the game half the time.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it was an inner burning to explore and to question a lot of stuff. So that when he was with,
I don't think it was. Yeah, it was like the way the game's managed for him. He couldn't. It was the lack of autonomy that, in terms of his own preparation as an athlete, which really which really crippled him, I think, in terms of his spirit. and despite that, he was still the great player he was. But mate, I completely agree with you. He was brilliant cerebral talent, like unbelievable. Yeah.
I'll throw a name out that Max, you know, Guy Armitage, not necessarily most underrated, but well, no, underrated to a degree, but one of the most physically gifted ever. Like,
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that.
yeah, and what he was really unlucky about is I want to say underrated as well, because in his last year at Wasps, he played centre a couple games. First game, someone got injured in training, so he jumped in. Man of the match, bro. It was unbelievable, and played like a couple of games in a row. But then we had like a team where like we had Elliot Daly, obviously Carl Eastman. We had some like internationals playing in the centres. So even though he was like got man of the match, he was always going to get booted out. But he was just one of those players where, and his problem, right, and like I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, he's so quiet, man. He's so quiet. Like he's not gonna, if he's dropped, he's not gonna be the guy that goes to the coach to be like, what's going on? Even though he's got like a man of the match performance. And I feel like in some ways he almost made it kind of easy for, not easy to an extent for coaches to be like, oh, we'll put Elliot back in or something, like, because Elliot's not going to be happy about not playing, that's for sure. With reason as well, but like it's almost, I feel sometimes with coaches, if you're, I guess it fits a little bit like the kind of thing that we were talking about in terms of like narrative and the way you perceived you should be as a rugby player. He's quiet, unassuming guy, but he gets on a pitch, he's pretty angry. I just found it like kind of interesting that I was like, I don't think it's his rugby ability really that's halted him a little bit. I think it's
Mate, 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Strange.
I felt, yeah, as an athlete, there's not many finer movers than he was at his size, and like his skill set was like, he wasn't one of those donkey guys either. He had some hands on him as well, like offload game.
114 kilos, brother.
Yeah, so big, so strong.
So
yeah,
big.
and just loved it, and could move very well. Like move well, but yeah, I don't know. Like, who else is very good under the radar?
Michaels? Come on, Mikey.
Who?
Come on, Mikey. Who you have?
I can't think of anyone, bro.
Yo.
I
Hard to please, eh, Michael?
I can't think of anyone that was really underrated. I think,
Props. Didn't get the props they deserve.
well, I think maybe the one player I think that, well, I guess he got capped, but he probably could have got more love, especially in that 16, 17, 18 season, was Tom Dunn. Like,
I feel like Tom Dunn's pretty hyped now, but I
feel like he should have been closer to the England squad than he was, I think.
I know, but mate, Jamie George's reign was supreme, and it's hard to compare with that Saracens era. Well,
yeah,
this era.
But I remember we played a back-to-back against Toulon, and the kid made like 60 or 70 tackles in 2 weeks.
Yeah, he does have some funny numbers on tackles, doesn't he? They were fruity.
Well, do you remember we played Toulon back-to-back? And he had made like 60 or 70 tackles with about 70% positive or like dominant collision. And Eddie Jones texted him on Monday saying, mate, you're not tough enough.
I know, but I did that on purpose, and he knew what he was doing.
Of course, yeah. But Danny was...
Mate, you're an amazing athlete. You're fat and you're skinny. It's up.
Little beaver.
Is that what he said to Danny?
You're fat and you're skinny. But now he's ginormous, bro.
Right.
Now he's a big old.
It's just reminded me that I love some of the rugby stories about stuff like that with like Eddie Jones, and I'm not here to say that I'm still obviously playing, so I don't want to be throwing it on the bus, but a coach I've had before, there's two funny stories about him. One of our players would always, like, he wasn't really a show-offy guy, but he'd always have his top off, right? And we have like one-on-ones, and he comes in, our head coach is a big unit, and he comes in for his one-on-one. Our head coach is sitting there topless, and he's kind of like, "What's going on?" Head coach just like, he's like, "Come on, sit down." He's like, "Well, why have you got your top off?" He's like, "Well, you always do, so I'm just gonna just start talking." It was like, what?
yeah.
But no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't. I swear it wasn't. And then this same guy, we had a 10. It was like a young 10. Tom. Oh, geez, nearly just said his name, which would have given it away completely. But I had a young 10, and he was pretty quiet. So we had one-on-ones, and it was like in those like the what are they called? You know, the rooms in stadiums, the boxes, and they're like back to back, really thin wall on the one the club that I was at. And so he comes in for the meeting, and he goes, no, can you go back out and go into the other room? And then he starts shouting at him through for the one-on-one, because he's like, your comms need to be better and you need to be louder.
That's pretty original, actually.
Those ones. No, what's his name? I had a coach who was like, when he was complaining about halfbacks' communication skills, he goes, and like the player would be like, "What?" And he'd be like, "Can you hear me now?" And he'd say the calls, but he's at the front of the stage, and the guy's back there, and he's just like, "I can't hear you."
Stuff like that, mate.
Suck eggs is so fun, isn't it? They just get off on it, just taking the piss. It's quite funny.
So funny, man.
Very funny.
Like, I'll tell a story about coaches and getting to me, and I won't name too many. I won't name coaches or anything, but we had a fat morning session, fat club, and first of all, I get named in the fat club, and I'm like, what the? Why am I in the fat club? First of all, you know. So I go down there, and the head coach is on the bicycle, and we're doing a spinning class. And I'm like, what the? And I'm just like, we're doing 2-a-days, coach. We're doing 2-a-days. We're doing all sorts of fitness testing, squatting down to maximum 180 on the squat. And I just remember thinking, I'm not going to cycle on this bike. He's going to tell me to twist this. When you crank it up a hill, every time he cranks it up the hill, I'm going to crank it down. I'm going downhill all day. All this morning, it's going to be a little warm up. I do this.
I know this.
I do this bicycle session the whole week. And,
I know.
And at the end of every session, I remember like drinking water, and I'd always drink water and go, like, chuck it on my face, like. And I'd be in there with all sorts of guys, different positions, and I'd be like, "Whoa, that was really, really hardcore." And the coach is in bits. He's in his, I don't know, 50s, 40s. Bless his heart, beautiful man. And at the end of the camp, we have this meeting with everyone, head coaches, conditioners, and they say, "So, how was your bicycling? How was your spinning?" And I remember looking at everyone in the eyes and said, "I'm not much of a cyclist, because I've got this firm belief that you do your running on the pitch and that's where you play your game." And quite a cocky little answer. And they said, "But you do believe in teamship and listening to what the team needs?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, of course." And he looks at me and says, "Why was your wheel ice cold after every single spinning session?" And I just remember going, mouth went dry. Huh? And he said, "Do you want me to do it again?" Bro, it was so awkward. He's looking me in the eyes and he said, "Your wheel was ice cold."
I know which coach that.
I was done after that. It's like literally, I went white like a ghost, super embarrassed. And I was just like, yeah, I had all these excuses in my head, and I just remember just licking my lips and just going, "Are we done? I've got nothing to say." I'm just like, yeah, that's me. But it was the most awkward one-on-one meeting that I've ever had in my life. It was terrible. Absolutely. They held it against me for many years, but anytime I did any shit, they just bring that back up, and I'd be like, "Oh, terrible."
He was a big first impressions man. That man, very big.
Fair play. It when you look back at it as a 35-year-old, you understand. Sometimes you've got to just bite the bullet and do the work.
100%. 100%.
And Maxi, just before we close off here, because we're going on 2 hours, just quickly rattle off some of those coaches that have been really influential for you.
Oh, all right. Tommy. I'll go with rugby dad number 1, Neil Hatley. A great man. I owe him quite a lot. He was very, very influential in the early days of my career. And then,
sorry, can you explain why? Like, as in, like, just his why he was good for you, or his personality, or something?
Yeah, good, great shout. So Neil Hatley's just basically, if you just talk about him as a rugby man, he's big on his fundamentals, like knows what it takes. I think as a player, he's very sort of hard-nosed, quite a tough guy. And he was always sort of about sort of embodying that and sort of giving it to us as academy guys. Like, he'd set us up in some real character building sessions, sort of like all present lengths of the field until you're dust. And then he'd put us out on the prowlers until we like were spewing on the side. Like, all these things, he sort of knew that, like, very basics of the game that you needed to have in order to sort of thrive at the professional level. But outside of that, as a man, I think he just understood people very well. I think for me anyway, I thought his man management skills were top notch. Like, I thought he had a good understanding of people psychologically, and he was just quite endearing as a person, as a friend, and as a coach. I believe, and he always sort of made hard work seem fun, which I think is quite important for me anyway. When you're a young player, but at the same time, it came easier to us back then, didn't it, Marcus?
For sure. I just remember that prowler session that you spoke about, brother. Jeez, I remember I had to. I don't know if you remember this. It's the first time I'd ever done prowler, and I was like,
I remember.
Yeah, and we had 2 sets of it or something. I had to hide, bro, in the toilets afterwards I think I was there for half an hour because I didn't know what was going on with my body, bro. I genuinely, it's the first time I was like, and then obviously I felt that quite a bit with sevens, but that was the first fitness session that I ever had where I thought, what's happening to me?
Yeah, like the lactic acid
killed me, bro. Like, I was dying. I didn't know whether to be sick or like curl up in a ball. I ended up sitting in the cubicle for 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was mental, wasn't it? First time I did it, everywhere.
Yeah.
Obviously, another coach, very important, Toby Booth. Like, obviously a massive, like, just huge guy. Big personality, super OCD, incredibly passionate man. Quite definitive of how he saw the game, how he saw people. Sometimes to his detriment, but I think for the most part, he always saw the good in people. But man, it was his passion as a person that I really appreciated. Like, when he did team talks, he'd be like cotton mouth, like water coming down his eyes, like tears coming down his eyes. It was so inspiring. Like, I remember when I was playing Heineken Cup when we were playing Munster at home. The pre-game before that, like, they had Rua Tapoki, Femi Murphy, John Hayes playing, Peter, mate, it was madness. Like, Chris Alafir was about to just decapitate 50, no matter who was out there. It was so special, man.
That's what I too. You
and be like big fat, like, yeah, Toby Booth, great bloke. Other coaches, Phil Greening, absolute geezer, Ebenezer, lemon squeezer from the Wasp days of old. Wouldn't let us forget it. But man, it was such a funny thing seeing him and Mike Friday together as friends. Obviously big names now in the 7 field, but at London Welsh, I just like, just the sort of stuff they do, and like the way they'd embolden people just to sort of be themselves and have fun. Like, me, and I got so much valuable sort of confidence from Phil Greening. I enjoyed just the sort of little gags he play in the environment. things like hands up if you won the Heineken Cup 3 times and stuff. Just stuff like that just made me crack. 2 times. How many times have you guys won the Prem? Whenever he was about to have an argument with a player. So it was always quite good crack. He was lighthearted, but also very, very energetic, very passionate about his craft. Just a fun man all round. Who else was there? Obviously at Bath, I had similar coaches. I think Andre Quinn, if we're going S&C coaches, him and Rob Palmer were a big part of my athletic development. They sort of reinforced with what I knew and gave me like so much time and energy from themselves to allow me to sort of become the specimen that I did. And that sort of allowed me to play the game earlier than other guys in my position. I wasn't really the most the most technically gifted, but at the same time, athletically, I was ready before a lot of guys my age. So a big part of that. And like Andre Quinn's like OCD and autism were just amazing when they marked.
Yeah, man. The guy, like, I didn't spend a huge amount of time with him because I think he came in the year that I left, but I just remember, like, obviously I was pretty small. They were trying to hammer some weight on me, and the bloke was trying, like, being like, "You have to send me." Remember 2 for Tuesdays, the Domino's thing?
Yeah.
Right, I had to send him that and take a protein shake with ice cream in. And to be honest with you, I didn't do those things at all. Like, that wasn't like that wasn't me.
He was like left no stone unturned. Absolute human computer, like full. Like he uses his like autistic sort of weirdness to its full ability to be constructive and be the best he could be in his field.
Well, a bit like what I was saying last time, was like he's one of those coaches that would do anything for you, won't he? You turn around to him and say, "I want to be better at this." In 3 weeks' time, if you listen to what he's doing, you'll be better at it, like 100%.
Such a good bloke. Rob Palmer, obviously, great man. Who else was there? Al Ryan, bloody loved that bloke. Great white shark. Never skipped a rep when he was around, did you? Never skipped that. You just knew not to. He was a scary dude, but again, I'm a man I truly treasured, and in hindsight, wish I'd spoke to more. Great bloke.
Same, the unbelievable bloke.
Mate, what a bloke.
French now, eh?
Yeah, bro. Now the head of S&C down in Toulouse. Yeah, he's the boy. Who else?
We can edit this bit out if you want, but Maxi, can you remember when we did that? Like, I think Al Ryan's missus for some party needed to.
Fuck,
to do.
Bro. That we were Katie Price's topless wait. And Al Ryan recruited us for it. We got paid a bit.
So imagine this. Al Ryan, what actually happened was, like, Lahiff's obviously big unit, like very good shape. And then remember Adam Thompson, obviously you will, but Adam Thompson, who was like also like a ridiculous shape. He couldn't go. So then Max was like, who want to do that? This little old Denzel was just there, like, I'll do it. So then,
bizarre.
Yeah. So then there's Max, big unit, like looking real good, like, and then there's just this tiny little Denzel with little fucking 18-year-old pecs there with it's like it was unbelievable, man. It was funny though.
I'm pretty sure Jordan liked you, didn't she? She was keen.
No, edit this bit out, boys.
This is staying on.
Edit this bit out. No, she did.
We're gonna learn today, baby.
Set this up, have I?
Huh?
Have I made this up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good way.
No. Oh, great times.
But the Bristol coaches have seemed to have gotten the best out of you, though.
Oh, mate. Kev Geary, the head of S&C here, Michael Van Buren, you would love. An absolute fellow weird fuck. Like, just a man. Just a great man. We just have quotes off. Me and him are just into the same stuff. We just talk about the strange hypotheticals of life. existentialism, movie quotes out coming out of our ears. Mate, brilliant man. Like, I very much enjoy his company. Special bloke. Pete Burridge, again, good guy. It's weird though, because like as you get older, especially when you're like now, I'm sort of the same age as a lot of the senior staff in those positions, or only a little bit younger, and in some regards, I'm older than a lot of them. It's not, they're not quite as, you know, feel quite as, I don't know. You know what I mean? You're not as impressed by them. It's weird. Impressed is probably the wrong word, but you're not as as impressionable when you're this age. You know what I mean? So you don't resonate with everyone as readily because of like your experience at this point. For good and for bad, I suppose. But under Pat, it's been an unbelievable roller coaster of a ride. I've really enjoyed it. He's been a very, very powerful influence on my rugby development and pretty much in life, mate. It's been very interesting. Who else is there? Oh, mate, Alistair Dickinson. He was here. Oh, mate, so much. He was an esoteric man, which I did not expect. So his scrum coach a couple of years back from Scotland, he used to play for like Sale and Gloucester, etc. Mate, brilliant bloke. Big fan of his. We used to speak about all things very strange. Fascinating guy. Can't speak highly of him. I did not expect it from him. I thought he was just a huge jog, but it turns out he's a strange and deep thinker.
Actually shocking how many props. It's crazy. Right? You guys are special, a special breed. There's so many. My deepest connections are with props. It's funny. Like in the 15-man game, it was you, yourself, Kane. Even in France, I just find it so interesting. So interesting.
But yeah,
deep thinkers and very sensitive people, very sensitive and protective, and it's a great combination.
Yeah, man, good times. Weird looking back on your career like this. Very. Bryce Kavanagh at Rebels also. I think he now is head of performance at England football.
Oh, wow.
Really, really fun guy, interesting man as well. I enjoyed his, and Grant Durns at. See, funny, there's a pattern. I get on with all the S&C coaches of my career very well, but such is life. But I really appreciate Grant Durns, just because when I went to New Zealand, I couldn't drive because I was an idiot. So back there's no infrastructure, public transport, etc. So Grant Durns was sort of, he had a family and stuff, but he was still like giving me lifts and stuff around to the gym and to training. And I just really appreciated all the time he gave me and the sort of energy and stuff he put into me to sort of get me up to speed for playing the Kiwi game. It was great, man.
I taught you how to drive, didn't I, Matt?
Oh yeah, that was great fun. We dabbled. We did dabble.
Marcus, we went around every corner and I'd shut my eyes thinking I wasn't coming out of this alive, boy.
Completely forgot.
But you got us home. You got us home safely and you got your driver's license. So fair play, boy.
You're a good man. You're a good man, Michael. It was
Max, we've taken up loads of your time here, but like, is there anything in terms? We spoke a little bit last week about captains and like what you enjoyed maybe about certain captains or something, or things like that, like ones that maybe worked really well for you, or just being generally good people. Have you got anything to talk about some captains you've had in the past, or any special teammates that you've just kind of enjoyed?
I think when it comes to captains, I think yeah, it's all about sort of emotional awareness, isn't it? I think, and saying things that you're going to do, saying things that you're going to do. Like, you know, when you get a captain who's a bit too much, a bit waffly, but I feel like guys who actually what they say and have that integrity about what they're saying, and they don't expect you to do anything they wouldn't. Those are the guys that are invaluable. I think I've had a few captains where they're sort of do as I do, not as I say kind of guys, but I think it's important that they are top class communicators. I feel like they have a more profound effect than guys who are just very, very gifted rugby players. I think that is also important. They need to be one of the first names on the team sheet, but gifted speakers, gifted communicators, guys who understand different personality. It's almost like another sort of DOR, isn't it? You've got to have some element of being aware of the different psychologies that you're commanding or leading in this case. Who do I love? Recent times. Oh man, Genji's not really captain, but the leader. Like he just is. He just naturally is a leader, and the way he talks like pre-game is just it's wonderful. I truly enjoy it. He's a gifted speaker. It's very, very, very powerful stuff, and you just like you know what you want to. Like one of those. On top of that, though, he's one of those players you want to have on your team. Like so confrontational. It's like sort of having a dunny. Do you know what I mean? That cut of character, that cut of metal. Who else has there been? But Bob Casey was a brilliant captain. He was my first one at London Irish. Brilliant speaker. Bloke could barely move. Had like 2 knees that didn't really exist. I wouldn't even call them knees. They were some kind of joint, but they weren't kneecaps as human beings.
I've never seen a man, and don't mind this bloke's like 6'8" and massive,
Incredible.
2 legs doing runways, and the bloke's both of his legs lock out, and it's literally like he's running along and then just dives because both of his knees are just fully locked out. I thought, this isn't the sport, man.
Anything like that since. And
Yeah.
I don't
No,
test
crazy.
man's character. He was great. Stuart Hooper was also a very gifted talker, as you guys know. Like he was amazing captain, very good leader. I think he was a deep thinker on that regard in terms of like getting the best out of guys. And I think a lot of captains don't even give that sort of a moment's thought. But I think he was someone who was very passionate about it. I'd say those are my big things. Those are my most memorable guys. Scott Higginbotham was probably my most chill captain. He just loved it, but he was just the biggest chiller you've ever met. This is a guy who was just good at rugby, who just really wanted to surf and own cafes. Do you know what I mean? But he was just so bloody good at rugby. He just ended up playing that as well. Hell of a bloke. I guess there's something to be said for the kind of personalities in the sport, though. Yeah. I think everyone's sort of about being ecstatic and being in the up. It's always good to have characters who are a bit more like entropic, you know. But yeah, I suppose in recent times, yeah, Genj is definitely my sort of he's the guy I would resonate most as a leader. It's just so funny. You just feel like you're in a movie sometimes. You're just like, I'm ready. I will maim and tear with this man. Yeah. After he's finished the team, so you're like, yeah, it's time to kill some guys. And like team talks. And I'm just, that one. There's something just get me when he talks. He's just got it. He's got it down. Yeah, guy though who's Ellis Genj. You know what I mean? It's nice hearing it when it's someone else, but when they hit like a sparrow fight, it's not quite as good, is it? Do you know what I mean? Like you want someone who's about that life, who's got that in them. And sometimes you get low twitch merchants who can barely tackle anyone, let alone do what they say their speech is saying. But one of those blokes who's quite the opposite.
No. Well, Maxi, just to close, it's been very, very good chatting to you. You know, it's always insightful, always entertaining, and we hope you'll come on again because we clearly need a whole evening, probably, of conversation.
Yes, this is what happens, isn't it? Especially when these sort of people, these sort of friendships get back together, you just end up going down the old memory lane, and then next minute 4 hours passes and it felt like 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, we'll do it again. But yeah, we really appreciate your time, boy. And good
Absolutely.
luck for the rest of the season.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Can you
buddy.
get a better color scrum cap, please?
I've got one, but mate, someone grassed me up, lads. Some bastard grassed me up.
You're wearing a scrum cap now.
Where he's playing in like a maroon one with like
I
yellow.
like
lines.
it. I like it.
No,
I think it
no.
looks so cool. It does look
No.
spacey, almost Australian rugby league. I like it. It looks like a tough piece of meat.
Yeah. I got a black on black now, Mike. It's okay. But
Oh,
basically,
yeah.
I hadn't passed some kind of health and safety regulations for World Rugby, and they emailed me and let me know that it was illegal headwear, and you cannot be wearing that until it passes said sanctions. So someone's been snitching.
That's
We-
weird.
you-
Oh, that's
You're worse all over social media, though.
Oh mate, what for? No, that was more because I was just like this. You know what it was though? It was because Toulouse just came on. He was on the wing, so I was just like trying to look at him. I was just trying to give him like shit faces. Whenever I said, I'm like, let's just get weird together right now.
Because
The
I
camera's
saw
just
that.
caught you with the maroon scrum cap on, with your head like this, just tilted. I need to see this picture now, bro. I need to find it.
He was on Twitter. I think he's a South African guy, played prop. He was real concerned that Max was twitching.
Oh no, I was explaining my my
Yeah.
nystagmus. So my Marcus, as you know, my nystagmus gives me sort of strange sort of angles of focus. I have to look at different places.
Yeah.
The fact that now that my neck has sort of lost a fair ability from my front row life means that it's the nystagmus even worse. So then I find like really amazing look at people like this.
Amazing.
So the cameras just caught me at some weird looking faces.
Oh,
I
man.
love that though. You see, for me, that's part of the game. Let's get a bit. Kids are going to be like, "Fuck the Gus." You know what I mean? It's cool, bro. You don't go through this game and walk out of it with a couple of good ACLs.
Yeah, 100%.
I love it.
No, but thanks very much, Maxi. We're all very appreciative of your time.
Lads, it's genuinely my pleasure. I couldn't think of a better way to spend an evening than with you three fine human beings.
You're the man, Maxi. You're the man.
Lots of love,
Lots of love, brother. Thank you.
all good, all good.